Hi all, today we have an exciting interview with the ASTQ president, Andrew Pollner. Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me.
What drove you to get into automated testing?
Sure. So my background is technical. So from one perspective, the automation was kind of easy for me. When you have the programming background, you kind of can understand the test automation. But also there's the challenge of implementing automation. And challenge, I mean, in kind of the positive way. It's like a puzzle. How do you make automation work for your testing? How do you really help it improve the testing? Um, what I found in my own career was that automation was one of these necessities. It's something that I had a situation where I was on a project, I was the only tester. I had to find some way to make it more effective, more efficient. So I was searching for ways to do that. So I found out that there's a bunch of automated tools that can help convert manual tests to automated tests. And it was kind of a survival tactic, right? It's like, when you're a team of one, and you got a lot of testing to do, you're either going to spend a lot of time, burn the midnight oil, or try to be more efficient about it. So I think because I had the programming background, I did some research. I found out about these testing tools, and I thought, okay, that's great. Let's start using the test tools. The initial tools were not very feature rich, so you had to kind of like develop the capability within the tool itself. They had a programming language, but not a lot of built-in functionality. But that was okay, just kind of meant that you had to do more of the creation. Whereas over time, the tools became more and more feature-filled. And what I also find is that although test automation requires development skills, it's a little different from how you approach it than how you would develop an application. I use kind of the analogy that when you develop, you're developing code from the inside out. You're creating code, and the result of that code is an application. So from the inside, you develop something that you then see on the outside, the application. With test automation, it's actually a little different. You're developing code from the outside in. You're developing code that tests the outside, the application, to make sure that the inside, the code from that application is working properly. So it does take a little bit of adjusting. There's some differences in how you approach it, but otherwise, it is technical, it is programming, and there are different ways to implement. The other thing I want to talk about with respect to automation is that for automation to work properly, you need to have some kind of structured approach. These days, what we call that is an automated framework. It's kind of like a collection of functions and capability. So that's very important to have a framework that kind of keeps everything under control, keeps everything working properly, minimizes where you need to make your changes, when you need to make updates. All the kind of best practices in coding also apply to test automation. And then another aspect is that often a lot of people that are doing testing aren't really all that technical. So what happens is you can't really expect them to understand the automation code and how you built that. So by using a framework, you can also help create an environment that's maybe less technical. Maybe they fill out the data that they need tested in a spreadsheet, and then the framework can pull in that data and test against the application. So it's really important to be able to leverage the whole team, not just have technical people, but have automation that can leverage people with that real domain knowledge, that real understanding of the business, who may not be all that technical, but they can provide the data, the inputs, the expected results, the right navigation paths, how is the application used, when is it used, what's important. All those things are so important for effective testing. So when you have that, plus the technology in a kind of a structured framework, plus the engineering in terms of the overall architecture, that's kind of when you have a win-win situation with test automation.